Hey everyone, it's the Knitty Professor. Today we're going to get some new hand spun, plied, and finished. So these are my 3 bobbins. This yarn is from Knitz and Pearls Fiberworks. Here is the label for the fiber. It is called Caffeinated Unicorn. I'm pretty sure I found this at Stephen B. It's made with NSW Shiniko, 89%, 6% acrylic, 5% rayon, and it's a lot of fun. It's got these little black naps. So this was a braid, and of course when you first see, the way it's braided up, you see these blocks of bright colors, but then when you unfurl it, it's almost like a gradient. So the first skein focused, the first bobbin, I should say, that I spun focused on the yellow end. And I just broke things up to sort of gradually move into the next color. And obviously it's going to be a lot of barber pulling when I get this plied. It's going to be a 3-ply yarn. So then we move from the yellows into the greens, ending with turquoise. And then you can't see it on this, but the last started with turquoise. It turned into purple briefly, and then it went to this vibrant pink. So these are all going to be spun, plied together in a 3-way, and I will show you my technical skills in making videos aren't great, but I use, this is my Spinolution wheel. I can show you it from the back, and it's got a pretty big bobbin on here. So I use my Spinolution, it's the Echo 2 ply on. The big bobbins on this baby are really ideal for, filling it with 3 smaller bobbins. I spun these on my my Canadian wheel, which of course the name I've forgotten right now, but it starts with L. Lendrum, on my Lendrum. So that's how we got to this. I spin them pretty thin, as you can tell. So in the end, the plied yarn is probably going to end up being like maybe a DK. I was able to spin this pretty thin. The quality of this particular fiber, it was like really soft and not hard on my hands at all, which surprised me just a little bit. So I always like that I'm able to get such thin thread and still enjoy the process and have it be comfortable. Now, I have more than one Lazy Kate, but I'll show you my favorite. My favorite is this from Ashford. So this is my Lazy Kate, and it is a tensioned Lazy Kate. I bought this a couple years ago. I have another one that is less good. So I have to arrange my bobbins on the spindles. In fact, I probably have to put a little oil on them, but if I need to, I can do that. And as most of you guys know, so we're going to arrange the fishing line so that it goes on to the grooves that are on the bobbins. Maybe. I think I've got this a little tight. I might have to loosen this. This has a wooden peg that you can loosen, tighten and loosen. And that's why it's tensioned. So the nice thing is I can adjust the tension on here. I don't want it too tight, but I also want it to be, tight enough. And yeah, I think I had this tighter before because I was only dealing with a single bobbin at one point. So I'm going to loosen it some more and see if I can get it on the third one here. You can see from the other side here, it's spring loaded. And that's what provides the tension. So I want these to be able to spin fairly easily. But the goal of the tensioned Lazy Kate, I think that's pretty good, is to help you ply evenly. So that, one bobbin doesn't sort of get ahead of itself and, spin too far and then have to spin backwards in order to keep the yarn going smoothly. So I'm going to guide each of these individual threads through this. It looks like a wicket. through the wicket here. Let me see if I can do this while I'm in the frame. Get that one started there, and the pink one. And Ari wants to help. What's up, Ari? I don't know what he's so interested in. So I've got the pink one, and we find the end of the yellow one. And of course they flipped out on me because I'm doing this one-handed, but that's okay. We're gonna make it work. Come on. Well, it gives you an idea of how coiled it is, because guess what? It's spun. So there you have it. I've got all three. Gonna try to arrange them together. So there they are. They're going through the wicket. And I will connect this then to the leader on my spinning wheel. And I set this on the floor. And look at that. It's very eager to to spring back, which is a good sign of goodwill. So I set this on the floor in front of my son's sock dresser. And I park my Lendrum in front of this Lazy Kate so that it can't move. And I like to have about 3 feet of space between me and the thread as I'm pulling it, because it just gives me a little bit more room to work. As I can just wind this around here real quick. As I'm spinning, plying, I ply with an S twist, so going counterclockwise. And I find it, holding the Lazy Kate in place behind me just works really well. So it'll take me about probably an hour and a half to get all of this plied up, and then we will consider how to finish it, at least based on what I do. It's not necessarily what Summer here does, but hi Summer. Works for me, and who knows, maybe it'll work for you. So we'll see you on the other side. Sorry about that. Summer was determined to be in the video. Just a quick picture of my setup here. So there's my Lazy Kate jammed against the dresser, and here is my yarn I'm plying, and it's going on to the bobbin here, and you can see how it's turning out. It's looking pretty good. We'll keep going. So here we are, the finished plied yarn. Now it's not really quite finished because I still have to finish it. So as soon as I figure out what Ari is yipping about, that's going to be the next step. All right, everyone, we're back. Had a slight car battery emergency with my son last night. Got a little sidetracked, but here is our finished plied yarn on the bobbin from my Spinolution Echo Spinner. So now the next step is to get it skeined up on my Nitty Knotty. This Nitty Knotty is fun. I just nailed this together myself using a, I'm not sure if this was from a paint roller or what, but I had this, it was sort of an extra cylinder of wood, and I used wood trim from my basement to make my own Nitty Knotty. Now I have a real Nitty Knotty that I could use. It's a little shorter, but to be honest, I really like this one. And I like the fact that the tops are textured because it kind of grips the yarn in a way that works really well. The other Nitty Knotties have like a bit of a divot on either end of these, I don't know, arms coming off of it. So in any case, I have my Lazy Kate, and just need to get the bobbins off of here, because I will put the bobbin of spun plied yarn onto here just so I have a, something for it to wind off of as I'm skeining it up on the Nitty Knotty. So I'm sure you guys know how to use this, but just gonna plunk this baby down there. Not the best angle, but in any case, so just gonna start up here and try to get it going in the right direction. There we go. And I want to catch the yarn where I started it on the bottom here. Just sort of loop the next wrap around there. So yeah, it won't take me long to get this turned into a skein once I get it going. And I will show you the result, and then we will proceed to the washing process. Voila! Now my yarn is all skeined up on the Knitty Knotty, and before I wash it, I have to do, I just call them little figure 8 ties. I have this, it's some like not nice wool that I use for this purpose, so I'll cut 4 ties and tie the sides, the different, let's call them quarters of the skein together, because if we don't, then when I wash it, it'll be a tangled mess. And we don't want that. So let's see here. We'll do one as a demonstration. And there are different ways to do this. I always like to catch the end of the wool in the first tie. So I just, I mean, there are different ways to do this, but try to figure out a sort of halfway point and loop the string through one way and back through the other way. So it ends up being just, you know, a little figure 8, if you can see there. And I'm gonna tie it loosely because in order to assure that the wool washes up nicely, it's got to have room to maneuver, shall we say. So sometimes I just make a knot. Sometimes I'll try to make a bow so I can undo it on the other side. You know, the chances that I'm just gonna put this tied yarn out for recycling are high, so I'm not too concerned about preserving it. But I'm gonna make 3 more of those so that I've got the yarn secured in, you know, one circular length, and then I'll see you all at the sink. And we're back. So first task is I've got to squish this off of the Knitty Knotty, and sometimes I meet with a little resistance when I'm trying to get the yarn off the bobbin, so it gets a little tight on here, which isn't the worst thing in the world. I've heard people argue that if you kind of pull the yarn a little bit tight, it can sort of help to balance it out. Now you don't want to keep it in that condition for long, but once we get it off here, so you can see the result is it's a little twisty, but in my experience, so this is sort of how my yarn comes out. In my experience, once it is washed, it settles down and it turns out really nice. It doesn't feel as nice as what it will once I soak it. So I have my big stew pot and our lovely web water. We have water from the Missouri River and it's pretty good, apparently. I get my water warm. You don't want it hot. Some people say it should be cool. Personally, I like it a little on the warm side. Not sure why. I don't know. Feel free to disagree with anything I say. But we're going to get this pan filled close to 4/5, 3/4 full. Use a wool wash. I have this soak that I use. I get wool wash at yarn stores. You could probably just use Woolite, right? But whatever soap you use should be appropriate for wool. This is Pineapple Grove. I'm not sure exactly what makes it appropriate for wool, but whatever the ingredients are. Lots of things going on in this house. Whatever the ingredients are, it's appropriate for wool. So as soon as this gets full, we're gonna just, I don't want it to bubble up too much, but I don't have a measured amount that I put in there. It may end up being about a teaspoon. I just kind of do things by feel because in my experience, over-reliance on measuring can become obsessive. And of course, we don't want that. Hello, doggy. Summer's in here too. So, I tend to, I want to make sure that the yarn is fully dampened. So, I do dunk it up and down a few times just to make sure that everything is wet. Everything is wet. And I feel like we're there. So, with the dogs barking in the background, it's going to sit here about 20 minutes. And then we'll return. And we're back. So I have my pot with my yarn, and now is where we recognize the value of these figure 8 ties, because I'm able to grab my skein as a skein. So I'm going to dump out this water. Well, we'll start like this. I'm going to fold this in half. Pretty sopping. And I'm going to squeeze as much water out of it as I can without just, crushing this beautiful yarn that I worked so hard to spin. And then dump the water out. Now, you could rinse it, but it's not necessary. If you're using wool wash and you're not using a huge amount, there's literally zero need to rinse the yarn once it's done soaking. So there we have it. Let me discard the water. And I have this lovely Christmas towel here in front of me. So I will, look at that. It looks pretty even when it's wet. It's pretty wet. As we all know, wool soaks up a lot of water. So I'm just going to spread this out on the towel. And I'm going to fold the towel over the yarn. And I'll fold it in half once more. So I end up with this kind of bundle. There you go. Now, the most expedient way to remove the water is to stand on it. So that's the next step. I'm going to stand on the towel and get as much water out as I can. The nice thing about that is the force you're exerting is basically just flattening the yarn. It's not rubbing it or causing it to felt. It's just squeezing. So there you go. I got a flat towel. And we'll extract the yarn. And there you go. It is no longer dripping. So the final step is, you know the answer, thwacking. Thwacking can take place different ways. I've heard of people like, slapping it against a counter edge or something like that. My personal preference is just to do this. So I'll go around the yarn maybe 4 times, just sort of hit each quarter, boom, 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 and thwack it. And again, the goal is a balanced yarn that is even and not twisted, where it's pretty well lined up along the length. And there you go. It is now thwacked. It has soaked, and it's ready to dry. So there's not a huge difference between this and the dried yarn, but as you can see already, so before we saw the yarn wanted to twist on itself. Well, guess what? Now it stopped. All I had to do was soak it and thwack it, and it turns out it's beautifully even, as you can tell. So we're going to end at this point. I'll probably do a short on the final product once it's dry. But that is how, in a nutshell, how I ply and finish yarn. And would love to know what differences there may be in my approach versus yours, or what similarities. In any case, I hope you have fun. I hope you feel empowered that you can spin yarn, ply yarn, make gorgeous yarn. It's really not that complicated, and it's a lot of fun. So you guys take care. Ciao.